For many trafficking victims, sharing their stories is simply too painful. But for one victim, she decided that by sharing her story, she would provide a voice for others. Here is Rani Hong's remarkable story.
I was living in southern India, and at the age of 7, a friend of the village came and asked my mother, said, "Can I please help you?" And just and she chose me to come down the street. She was promising, good, food. I'll give her education. I will take care of her, and I'll give her the best of life. What she was doing is undercover recruiting children and selling them into slavery. She sold me into slavery at the age of 7. They actually sold me across the state border where I didn't know the language, that I couldn't ask for help, and I was absolutely vulnerable. In order to get control, they break the will of the child by beatings, by torture, by starvation. This man, my owner, Paul, that he was selling children to be maids. He was selling children to be working in factories, and then he was selling children to adoption. I felt all alone. I felt like nobody in the world cared about me, that I couldn't ask for help. My owner, Paul, actually sold me into United States through adoption. I was adopted by my mother, Nell, and she was the most wonderful woman. After time, I was so shut down. She was so shocked in who she got because I wasn't the child that she expected. I was very much traumatized when I first came in, but through time again, it was just her love and care, and for somebody to treat me with respect and treat me with dignity, she brought healing to my life. See, my identity was stolen from the trafficking. But in 1999, I went back to India, and just miraculously, through several events, I found my birth mother. My birth mother did not know. She did not know what happened. She knew that I was taken from her, that I was stolen and sent off, and she had no idea. And for 21 years, she was searching for me. Look at this photo of myself near about the age of 8, and it looks like I was just so shut down. And when I look at that, it just makes me, just cry. And when I look at that, I cry a lot, because no child should be looking like that. No child should be treated, tortured and abused, and no child should be sold into slavery. So when I look at that picture, it brings up emotion, it brings up anger as well, but how do I overcome that? And that's when I knew in 1999 I had to become an advocate. I had to be a voice for the voiceless. I was in high school, and I met my husband through a blind date.
When I was living in Vietnam, I was recruited to a child soldier, and the Viet Cong at the time recruiting all the children into the military to train them to fight and to kill. My dad, aware of the situation, so he borrowed money and take all the money from the home, and he put me on the boat and escaped from Vietnam.
And together now, as my birth family, we are together and we talk about it, and now we're talking about steps for prevention. How do we prevent this from happening to another mother and another child?
Well, Rani Hong says that one common thread that runs through almost every human trafficking story is poverty. She joins me now to explain just what she means by that. And before we get on to that, if you had one message for our viewers tonight, what would it be?
I would ask your viewers to support victims of human trafficking, because we have gone through a lot, as you just saw. But many victims don't have their voices heard. And so I ask your audience to join us with legislators, with the governments, with the media, universities, all walks of life, to join us to get a global awareness leadership campaign against slavery.
Yeah, we have seen the launch today of the UN's Trust Fund. We're talking about millions of dollars trying to help victims out of an industry which is worth billions of dollars, second only to drugs and arms. This is huge, isn't it?
Absolutely. We know today there are estimated 27 million slaves around the world. That is a huge number. So that we need to restore these victims. Myself, and this fund today, we know it takes thousands of dollars to restore an individual from torture and abuse.
Why are we looking at a fund for victims when what we should be doing surely is looking to destabilize and disrupt the organizations, the syndicated criminal organizations that run this industry? Why is it important to get to the victims first, as it were?
The reason we need to be the voice for the victims, because we have nobody on our side. The traffickers, the criminal industry, the organized crimes have millions of people behind them. What do we as victims and survivors have? We don't have very many. But today, we're asking again, United Nations has come together with this fund because they are now saying we are partners of the victims, and we're going to turn victims into leadership. We know victims can be leaders. And today, my foundation that my husband and I have started, we are committed to end for a world free of slavery.
Why don't you explain just how money from government and corporate sponsors, NGOs alike, how it will physically help victims out? And take me back to your own story.
Absolutely. So when I was a child, I didn't have anybody helping me. I didn't have a home. I didn't have water. I didn't have food. That's what the slave owners kept away from me. But today, with this fund, if corporations, governments, and if all will contribute and give money generously to my foundation and to others who are working on this, this will help restore the victim back to society. We need funds to support. It takes resources to be able to do advocacy campaign. My goal as my foundation is to do a global awareness on this issue of human trafficking because it takes a global effort.
We've heard your story. Talk me through some others, those that you've helped out.
Absolutely. Today, I'm standing in the shoe of survivors because they can't be here today. I know I want to be a voice for those voiceless children. And today, I want to partner again to I work with survivors internationally and domestically. I hear their stories. I hear their pain, saying we need help. So today, as an advocate and as a leader in this movement, I want to be able to give back to them, to give them education, to give them the restoration that we as humans all need.
Can you describe just how your organization has helped women and children who've been victims of this despicable industry? Just tell me some stories, if you will.
Absolutely. I remember just right here in the United States, I heard a victim come through from Japan to Colombia to right here into East Coast. And when I heard their story, and they were shipped by trucks into Washington State. And when I heard that story and I met with this victim, it was devastating to hear everything that she has gone through. Trafficked, transported. We know slavery is force, fraud, and coercion. Those things are what crushes the victim. So today, when I work with victims, many of them, I've listened to many victims around the world, and I see their number one need is resources to get them out of their hellish situation.
Fanny Hong, we appreciate you joining us this evening. We wish you the absolute best of luck. As I say, this is a story we are committed to telling as we move into the new year. We thank you very much indeed.